Admiral William Grant stood motionless before the large viewport of Luna Command Center, his weathered face reflecting in the reinforced glass as Earth hung in the blackness beyond. The message he'd just received weighed heavily on his mind. "Sir, the intelligence is verified." Commander Lisa Pearson approached quietly from behind, her voice barely above a whisper. "3 separate sources confirm it." Grant nodded slowly. After 20 years of military service, he had learned to control his emotions. But this was different. "Show me again," he said. The holographic display flickered to life, showing footage recovered from a damaged data core. The images were grainy but clear enough. Alien figures in environmental suits methodically sabotaging life support systems in the Mars colony's central hub. The timestamp matched perfectly with the catastrophic failure that had killed 3,000 colonists 3 months ago. "The Council species deliberately caused the massacre," said Pearson, while publicly blaming human engineering failures. Grant's jaw tightened, and the official investigation blocked at every turn. The Council representatives cited protocol and jurisdictional limitations. Pearson's disgust was evident. "They've been lying to us from the beginning." For generations, humanity had struggled to join the Galactic Council, a collective of advanced species that controlled interstellar travel and trade. Humans had been kept at arm's length, restricted in their technological development, and confined mostly to their home solar system, all under the guise of protecting young species from advancing too quickly. Now Grant understood why. It wasn't protection. It was containment. "Assemble the team," Grant ordered. "Security level Alpha. No recordings." Hours later, 5 people sat around a circular table in the most secure room of Luna Command. Besides Grant and Pearson, there was General Frank Collins, head of Earth Defense Forces, Dr. Olivia Sanders, the leading xenobiologist who had spent years studying Council species, and Director Alan Wheeler from Intelligence. "What I'm about to share doesn't leave this room," Grant said. "The Mars colony massacre wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate act by Council operatives." Dr. Sanders leaned forward, her eyes wide. "This confirms my suspicions. The Council has always feared human potential." Wheeler nodded grimly. "Our integration rate with new technologies exceeds any known species. Where it takes Council races centuries to adapt to major technological shifts, we do it in decades. Which makes us unpredictable," Collins added. "They hate unpredictability." Grant activated a secure display. "For years, we've played by their rules, restricted our development, accepted their limitations, and meanwhile, they'd been actively working against us." On the screen appeared more evidence, classified communications between Council members discussing the human problem, and plans for further restrictions on Earth's growth. "The people deserve to know," Pearson said quietly. Grant shook his head. "Not yet. Public knowledge would force an immediate response. We're not ready." "What do you propose?" asked Collins. "We prepare," quietly. Grant's voice was steel. "Dr. Sanders, I need everything you have on Council species biological vulnerabilities. Wheeler, deep intelligence on their fleet movements and defense systems. Collins, begin assessing our military readiness without alerting Council observers." Dr. Sanders pulled out a datapad. "I've been studying Council physiology for years. Most species have specific environmental needs much more rigid than humans. We're surprisingly adaptable compared to them." As the team began their work, Grant returned to the viewport, looking at Earth below. The Council's cruelty had lit a fire. Soon, they would learn that humanity was not to be underestimated. The awakening had begun. Daniel Rodriguez wiped sweat from his brow as he made final adjustments to the prototype. For 3 months, he had barely left his laboratory at the hidden Ganymede facility. The engineer stepped back, examining the small device that might change the course of human history. "Ready for the test, sir," he called to Admiral Grant, who stood observing from behind shielded glass. Grant nodded. "Proceed." Rodriguez activated the device. The small drone beside it hummed to life. rising into the air. On the monitoring screens, its quantum signature, the unique energy pattern that Council sensors use to track technology, faded until it vanished completely. "It works," Rodriguez whispered, then louder. "It works." The stealth field completely masks our quantum signature. For the first time in weeks, Grant smiled. How soon can we scale this to ship size? 2 months for the first prototype vessel, maybe 4 for fleet implementation. Outside the official channels, Earth's military had been building. Hidden factories on asteroids and moons beyond Council monitoring stations produced ships and weapons. Scientists worked around the clock developing technologies the Council had forbidden, all while Earth's government maintained a public face of peaceful cooperation. Captain Natalie Ortiz led the first mission using the new stealth technology. Her small scout ship, the Shadow, slipped past Council patrols near Saturn without detection. The mission was simple but dangerous: gather intelligence on Council outposts and their defensive capabilities. Holding position near the Council station, Ortiz reported over the secure channel. "Stealth systems functioning perfectly. They have no idea we're here." Her crew recorded everything: patrol patterns, communication frequencies, weapons systems. Most importantly, they intercepted Council communications revealing plans far more sinister than anyone had imagined. Back at Luna Command, Grant called an emergency meeting of what had become known as the Phoenix Group. "Captain Ortiz's mission confirmed our worst fears," Grant said, displaying the intercepted data. "The Council isn't just containing us. They are planning to eliminate our orbital infrastructure. They're calling it a quarantine measure." Director Wheeler leaned forward, his face grim. "Timeline: 6 months, maybe less." Dr. Sanders studied the plans. "They're afraid. The Mars incident was supposed to set us back years, show us how dependent we are on their good graces. Instead, we've accelerated our development." General Collins cleared his throat. "Our fleet is at 60% of planned strength. The stealth technology gives us an edge they won't expect, but we're still outnumbered." "What about potential allies?" Pearson asked. "Surely not all Council species agree with this approach." Wheeler shook his head. "Our sources indicate the Artaxians have reservations, but they're a minor power within the Council. The dominant species are united against us." Grant stood, looking at each person around the table. "We've played defense long enough. It's time to prepare our first strike." Across the solar system, humanity's hidden preparations intensified. On Europa, Lieutenant Kyle Bennett trained special operations teams for zero-gravity combat. In the asteroid belt, Commander Patricia Wilson oversaw the final arming of stealth destroyers. Earth's orbital defenses were quietly strengthened under the guise of maintenance updates, all while Council representatives continued their diplomatic charade, unaware that their every move was now being watched. In his private quarters, Grant reviewed the latest production reports. The numbers were encouraging, but not enough. Not yet. He thought of the families lost on Mars, of the generations of humans kept from their potential, of the lies they had been told. The gathering storm would soon break, and when it did, the Council would learn a harsh lesson. Humanity would not go quietly. Lieutenant Gregory Washington studied the holographic layout of the Council's communication hub on Europa. His 12-person team gathered around the projection, faces illuminated by its blue glow. They had trained for this mission for weeks, practicing every movement until it became muscle memory. "We'll have 18 minutes from breach to extraction," Washington said, his voice steady despite the stakes. "Council security rotates at these intervals." He pointed to 3 locations on the map. "Our primary target is the central data core. Secondary objectives are the transmission arrays and backup systems." Private Alicia Davis, the team's tech specialist, checked her equipment one last time. "The data extraction will take approximately 4 minutes if their security is as expected." Washington nodded. "Once we have the data, we move. No heroics. No delays." Their stealth shuttle approached Europa under complete sensor blackout. The massive Jupiter loomed in the background, its swirling storms providing a dramatic backdrop to humanity's first direct action against the Council. The team deployed silently, using personal stealth fields developed from Rodriguez's technology. They moved like ghosts across Europa's icy surface toward the communication hub, a gleaming structure of alien architecture half buried in the moon's crust. Inside Luna Command, Admiral Grant received a transmission from Council Ambassador Crackstill. The alien's elongated face filled the screen, its 4 eyes blinking in the pattern that humans had learned indicated displeasure. Admiral Grant. The ambassador's voice was artificially modulated to human hearing range. The Council has grown concerned about unusual activity within your system. Several monitoring stations report energy fluctuations consistent with unauthorized weapons development. Grant maintained a neutral expression. Ambassador, I assure you Earth remains committed to the developmental guidelines established by the Council. Words provide little reassurance when actions suggest otherwise. The ambassador's skin flushed a deep purple. The Council has determined that humanity requires additional oversight. You will surrender all advanced technology developed within the past 5 Earth years for evaluation and possible restriction. That would cripple our infrastructure, Ambassador. Surely. This is not a negotiation, Admiral. You have 48 hours to comply or face quarantine measures. The transmission ended abruptly. Grant immediately contacted the Operation Control Center. Status on Operation Lightbringer. Washington's team has breached the facility. Data extraction in progress. On Europa, Washington's team moved efficiently through the communication hub. Davis worked at the central terminal, bypassing alien security protocols while the rest of the team secured their perimeter. I'm in, Davis whispered. Downloading fleet deployments, defense systems, communication protocols. This is everything we hoped for and more. Washington kept his eyes on the timer. 10 minutes remaining. Wrap it up. As Davis finished the download, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. We've been detected. Sergeant Ben Collins shouted from his position by the door. Extraction route Alpha compromised. Another team member reported. Council security forces incoming. Washington made a split-second decision. Route Charlie. Move. The team fought their way through the facility, using non-lethal weapons where possible. Their orders were clear. Minimize casualties, but complete the mission at all costs. Across the solar system, as Washington's team battled for escape, humanity launched its coordinated first strike. Stealth ships emerged from hiding to attack Council monitoring stations. The human vessel Defiance, commanded by Samuel Foster, broke through the Council blockade near Mars, destroying 3 enemy cruisers before disappearing again behind Saturn's rings. From his command center, Grant watched the tactical display as green indicators showed successful strikes throughout the system. The element of surprise had worked perfectly. For now, the Council had underestimated humanity's resolve. Their cruelty had indeed lit a fire. And now the flames of resistance were spreading across the stars. Supreme Commander Vordak slammed his 4-fingered hand against the command console. The holographic display showed the wreckage of Council monitoring stations throughout the human solar system. How did this happen? He demanded, his scaled skin darkening with rage. How did primitive humans bypass our most advanced detection systems? The Council war room fell silent. None of the gathered military leaders from 7 different species wanted to admit the truth. They had underestimated their enemy. Mobilize the main battle fleet, Vordak finally ordered. I will lead personally. The humans have chosen extinction over submission. Across the outer colonies of the solar system, Council warships appeared in overwhelming numbers. The human settlement on Callisto was the first to face their wrath. Incoming orbital bombardment, shouted the colony's defense coordinator. Multiple Council vessels, heavy weapon signatures. The colony's shields, far more advanced than the Council believed humans possessed, activated just in time to absorb the first barrage. But they wouldn't last forever. At Luna Command, Admiral Grant received the distress calls from 4 colonies simultaneously under attack. They're targeting civilian installations, General Collins reported grimly. "Making an example of our outer settlements." Grant's expression remained stoic despite the fury within. "Deploy our defensive squadrons. Priority is evacuation of civilians. And get me Dr. Rice on the line immediately." In her laboratory deep within Earth's Marianas Trench, Dr. Elizabeth Rice hadn't slept in 3 days. The adaptive shield technology she had been developing now faced its ultimate test ahead of schedule. The modulation frequency needs to shift randomly within these parameters, she explained to the engineering team as they worked frantically to implement her designs across the fleet. Council weapons lock onto consistent energy patterns. Our shields will change patterns faster than their targeting systems can adjust. Her secure line blinked. "Admiral Grant for you, Doctor." "Tell me you have good news, Doctor," Grant said without preamble. "The first 5 destroyers are equipped with the adaptive shields. The technology works in simulations, but no time for further testing. Deploy them to Callisto immediately." While the Council focused on conventional warfare, Major Andrew Phillips led a very different kind of fight. His guerrilla forces used stealth ships to strike at Council supply lines, appearing from nowhere to disable enemy vessels before vanishing again. "Target their engines and communication arrays only," Phillips reminded his pilots. "We need to show the difference between us and them. They target civilians. We disable military assets." The strategy worked. Council supply ships began traveling in heavily guarded convoys, stretching their resources thin across the vast distances of space. At Luna Command, Director Wheeler arrived with unexpected news. "Admiral, we've received a communication from the Artaxians. It came through unofficial channels." Grant raised an eyebrow. "The Artaxians? What do they want?" "To talk. Apparently, not all Council members agree with this war. The Artaxians have long been marginalized within the Council, their concerns ignored. They're impressed by our resistance. Can we trust them?" Wheeler shrugged. "They provided the patrol routes for Vordak's personal flagship as a show of good faith." Grant considered this development carefully. The Artaxians were known for their analytical minds and diplomatic skills, but they had little military power. Still, any crack in Council unity was worth exploring. "Arrange a secure meeting. No official record." As Council forces continued their advance, humanity faced its greatest challenge. Yet in the darkness of space, something unexpected was happening. Council soldiers captured by Phillips' guerrilla forces reported back stories of human restraint and honor, how they had been treated fairly as prisoners rather than executed. Seeds of doubt began to grow within the Council, ranks about the savage humans they had been ordered to destroy. Vordak, sensing this shift, pushed his fleet harder toward Earth. "The human homeworld must fall," he declared, "before their poison spreads further." Captain Julia Hernandez stood on the bridge of the destroyer Resilience, watching as the massive Council armada emerged from behind Titan's thick atmosphere. Her ship was just one of 67 human vessels, facing over 300 Council warships. The numbers told a clear story. This should be a slaughter. "All hands to battle stations," she ordered calmly. "Activate adaptive shields. Weapon systems hot." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, despite the fear evident in their eyes. This would be the largest space engagement in solar system history. The Battle of Titan. Supreme Commander Vordak's voice boomed across all frequencies. "Surrender now, humans. Your resistance, while impressive, ends today." Hernandez exchanged glances with her first officer. No response was needed. The human fleet arranged itself in what appeared to be a standard defensive formation, exactly what Council tactical doctrine would expect. "They're deploying in attack pattern Sigma," her tactical officer reported, just as the intelligence suggested they would. Hernandez nodded. The data stolen from the Europa facility had revealed Council battle plans and formations. "Hold positions until my mark. Let them think they have us figured out." Council ships advanced in perfect geometric formations, their weapon systems charging. The first salvos ripped across space toward the human fleet. "Now," Hernandez commanded. The human fleet suddenly broke formation, ships moving in seemingly random patterns that Council targeting systems couldn't predict. Dr. Rice's adaptive shields shifted frequencies constantly, causing many Council energy weapons to pass harmlessly through or glance off their hulls. "Execute Maneuver Hydra," Hernandez ordered. What had appeared to be a single coherent fleet suddenly split into 5 separate attack groups, each targeting different sections of the Council armada. Ships that Council sensors registered as destroyers revealed themselves to be carriers, launching swarms of fighter craft that had been hidden by stealth technology. On his flagship, Vordak watched in growing alarm as his carefully organized formation began to fracture under the unexpected human assault. "Impossible," he hissed. "Their technology is beyond their development stage. They cannot have these capabilities." His second in command, an Artaxian named Kirvosh, observed silently. The humans were fighting with a creativity and adaptability that the Council had never encountered before. While Council species followed established battle doctrines refined over millennia, the humans improvised, adjusting tactics minute by minute. Aboard the Resilience, Hernandez watched her tactical display as the battle evolved. Group 3 taking heavy losses, redirect Groups 2 and 5 to support. For 6 hours, the battle raged around Titan. Human ships, though fewer in number, used the moon's dense atmosphere and strong gravity to their advantage, diving in and out of sensor shadows, executing maneuvers that Council ships couldn't match. "Captain," her communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from an Artaxian vessel. They're requesting to withdraw from the battle." Hernandez frowned. "Just one ship?" "No, ma'am. All 17 Artaxian vessels are powering down weapons. They're broadcasting to the entire Council fleet." On all channels, Kirvosh's voice echoed. "This slaughter violates the Council's founding principles. The humans defend their home, as is their right. I withdraw my forces from this dishonorable action." Confusion rippled through the Council fleet. Without the Artaxian vessels protecting their flank, a gap appeared in their formation. "There's our opening," Hernandez said, her voice steady despite exhaustion. "All groups target that gap. Maximum thrust." The human fleet converged, punching through the Council formation and splitting their forces in two. What had been an organized armada became a chaotic mess of individual ships trying to regroup. As the battle turned, a small team of human special forces, led by Lieutenant Washington, successfully boarded and captured a Council dreadnought. The prize contained weapons technology, navigation systems, and communication protocols that would change the course of the war. By the time Vordak ordered a retreat, nearly a third of his fleet lay in ruins around Titan. The Battle of Titan would not be the end of humanity as he had planned, but instead marked the beginning of the Council's downfall. Engineer Kevin Mitchell stared at the alien device, his eyes bloodshot from 72 hours without proper sleep. The captured Council dreadnought had yielded treasures beyond imagination. But this component, barely the size of his palm, might be the most valuable of all. "This is it," he whispered to the team of scientists gathered around his workbench. "The faster-than-light drive control matrix. The thing the Council has kept from us for generations." Dr. Reyes leaned closer, examining the crystalline structure embedded in the device. "They told us humans couldn't handle the quantum mechanics required." Another lie. Mitchell carefully connected diagnostic tools to the matrix. "Their system is elegant but fundamentally simpler than we expected. We've been working on similar principles ourselves, just without realizing how to stabilize the field." Within weeks, Mitchell's team had reverse-engineered the technology and adapted it for human ships. The implications were enormous. Humanity would no longer be confined to their solar system. The very cage the Council had built to contain them was now broken. Admiral Grant reviewed the latest intelligence reports in Luna Command. The Battle of Titan had changed everything. Species that had previously remained neutral were now sending quiet inquiries to Earth. Some offered trade agreements, others technological exchanges, a few even military support. The Council is fracturing, Director Wheeler explained, pointing to a galactic map showing political alignments shifting. The Artaxians' public break with the Council has inspired others who've chafed under Council domination. Grant nodded thoughtfully. And Vordak recalled to the Council homeworld to explain his failure at Titan. There are rumors of a leadership challenge. The Admiral activated a secure channel. It's time. Launch Operation Distant Thunder. Across the solar system, newly equipped human vessels with reverse-engineered FTL drives prepared for humanity's most audacious move yet. No longer content with defending their home, they would take the fight directly to Council space. Captain Peter Wilson commanded the lead strike force targeting a major Council staging area in the Proxima Centauri system. It was humanity's first military action beyond the solar system. FTL drive engaging in 3, 2, 1, his navigator announced. The stars blurred around them as the human fleet made its first faster-than-light jump. When they emerged near Proxima Centauri, the Council forces stationed there had no warning, no time to prepare. They don't believe we could be here, Wilson observed as his tactical display showed confused Council ships scrambling to respond. They still think we're trapped in Sol's system. The human fleet struck swiftly, targeting military infrastructure while avoiding civilian areas. Within hours, the Proxima Centauri staging area was neutralized, with minimal Council casualties and no civilian deaths. Similar strikes occurred simultaneously at 6 other Council military installations in nearby star systems. Each followed the same pattern: precise, restrained, but devastatingly effective. On the Council homeworld, the political fallout was immediate. Vordak faced a hostile leadership committee demanding explanations. "How have the humans advanced so quickly?" demanded the Council leader, a Xilarian whose long lifespan usually gave him a patient perspective. Today, his tone carried genuine alarm. Before Vordak could respond, the chamber doors opened. Kervosh of the Artaxians entered, followed by representatives from 3 other species. "We withdraw from the Council," Kervosh announced formally. "And we offer official alliance to humanity and any others who seek a new path." The chamber erupted in shouts and threats, but the damage was done. What had been unthinkable weeks ago was now reality. The Council's 3,000-year dominance was crumbling. In Earth orbit, a historic meeting took place aboard the human station Unity. Admiral Grant welcomed Kervosh and representatives from other breakaway species. "We do not seek to replace the Council's domination with our own," Grant assured them. "Humanity wants partners, not subjects." Kervosh's 4 eyes blinked in the pattern humans had learned meant approval. "That is precisely why we stand with you now. The old order is dying. Together, we will build something better from its ashes." As they spoke, human fleets pushed deeper into what had once been exclusively Council territory, not as conquerors, but as liberators. Admiral William Grant stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, gazing at the massive space station that had served as the Council's headquarters for over a millennium. Its spiraling architecture reflected the combined aesthetic of the founding species, a monument to their supposed superiority and cooperation. Today, it would witness the end of their reign. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Commander Pearson said, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. Around them, the largest fleet ever assembled under human command moved into position. Nearly 300 vessels, many bearing the markings of former Council races who had joined the Alliance. The Artaxian ships were easily identifiable by their distinctive blue engine signatures, while vessels from the Norvan and Kilari species flanked the human destroyers. "Open a channel to Supreme Commander Vordak," Grant ordered. The alien commander's face appeared on screen, his once confident demeanor replaced by grim resignation. "This is your final opportunity," Grant said without preamble. "Surrender the station and order all Council forces to stand down." Vordak's scales darkened. "You cannot possibly understand what you are destroying, human. The Council has maintained galactic stability for thousands of years." Stability built on lies, oppression, and genocide. Grant replied evenly. We've seen the records from your own archives. The Mars colony was just the latest in a long history of atrocities against lesser species who showed too much potential. A tense silence filled the communication channel. You have 1 hour to evacuate non-military personnel, Grant continued. Then we will take the station, with or without your cooperation. The battle that followed was brief but intense. Despite their technological advantages, Council defenders found themselves outmaneuvered by the combined tactics of the Alliance fleet. Human adaptability, Artaxian precision, and Norvan resilience complemented each other perfectly. Special Forces teams, led by the now Colonel Gregory Washington, breached the station's outer defenses using tactics no Council security protocol had anticipated. They moved through the massive structure with practiced efficiency, securing key systems and neutralizing resistance with minimal casualties. When Washington's team reached the Central Command Center, they found Vordak alone, his staff having fled or surrendered. I underestimated your species, the alien commander admitted as Washington's soldiers secured his hands. We all did. 6 hours after the assault began, Admiral Grant walked through the Council's Grand Assembly chamber. Representatives from 27 species who had broken from the Council gathered to witness the historic moment. Today marks not just an end, but a beginning, Grant addressed the assembled delegates. The Council claimed to protect the galaxy, but instead stifled growth and diversity. In its place, we propose a new accord, one based on mutual respect, rather than dominance, on cooperation rather than control. Kirvosh of the Artaxians stepped forward. For too long, my people accepted our secondary status within the Council hierarchy. We believed their promises of gradual advancement. Now we see a different path forward, one where all species contribute according to their unique strengths. Over the following weeks, the foundations of a new interstellar governing body took shape. Unlike the hierarchical council, this galactic confederation would operate on principles of equal representation and shared responsibility. Captain Nicole Martinez, who had distinguished herself during the final assault, was selected to command the first human diplomatic mission to formerly hostile worlds. Her ship, appropriately named New Dawn, carried representatives from Earth to begin healing the wounds of conflict. In the rebuilt chamber of what had once been the Council headquarters, now renamed Unity Station, Grant watched as human representatives took their place alongside Artaxians and dozens of other species. Some had been Council members, others had been subjugated by them, and a few were newly discovered civilizations already joining the growing confederation. Did you ever imagine this outcome when we first discovered the truth about Mars? Pearson asked quietly as they observed the proceedings. Grant shook his head. I only wanted justice for our people. Instead, we found something greater, a future where humanity isn't isolated or contained, but takes its place among the stars as equals. Below them, the inaugural session of the Galactic Confederation began, its founding charter bearing the signatures of species from across the galaxy. The Council's cruelty had indeed lit a fire, one that had forged not vengeance, but a new and better order for all.